And we are live.
What's
Hello,
going on, everybody?
hello, and welcome to Lesson Learned, a conversation about Mythcraft. I am Corey Griffin,
And I am Joey Hosmer.
and today we'll be talking you through the Urkou lineage. I really wanted to get I really pushed this one off to get Joey in here for this one because he does play an Urkou in our actual play. So, just like I did to Kobe when we were talking satyrs, what was it about Urkou that like made you want to play an Urkou character?
So honestly, for a while, and in a couple different TTRPG platforms, I have always wanted to have a Russian character. Um, One of my biggest influences for a kind of character I wanted to play was Jet Black from Cowboy Bebop. Not that he's necessarily a Russian character, but I've always found his archetype of a character can be transitioned over to a Russian type. And then with that, a bear is just kind of a natural feeling, I guess, a natural liaison into that. Um, and so when Mythcraft came out and I saw that there was an actual bear race, I immediately was like, "Yep, we're gonna start there and build there." And then, once we started talking about the podcast, Yusuri was born.
So you kind of came into it from a kind of more of a you had the idea for the character first and then saw a lineage that you liked for it.
Yep. Yeah, I came at it from I had a theme that I wanted to fit, and Urkou fit it the best.
Okay. Alrighty. Um, as much as I would have loved to have both you and Adam on the stream at the same time because you both play Urkel, sadly that just didn't line up for us. Much as I would have liked to. I happen to know that he saw Urkel and was just like, I want to play one of these.
Yeah.
So it's what we ended up. From what I understand, that's kind of what like drew him to playing an Urkel. But I do have the traits and stuff to go over later. Now, you may not know this, but some of the viewers will. I do play an Urkou in the Mythcraft Legends game.
I did not know that.
Yes, I do. So Melazog Shava is a Urkou Troubadour caster, mainly debuff support. I think I've dipped him into 3, 4 classes.
Oh my.
We're level 5. We're level
Oh
5.
my.
We're level 5, and I've dipped him into 3 classes. But for the most part, I very much liked the idea of being extremely community like based. Chaos debuff madness. I do like that. I do like that description for him.
Chaos debuff magic.
Madness. 'Cause it's not all
Yeah.
magic. I also use my
Fair enough. Fair.
stanzas for it, and I made a character that makes Lesh look tame because he focuses on buffing, where I just mess with the MC.
Oh.
Very much like as much as Goron focuses on control and like the debuffing that comes from that. Melazog has all of that with all of Lesh's just round after round after round utility.
So it's a spite character because of what we do to you. Just all punched into one.
Not quite. He's got a lot more story behind him than just I built this one out of spite. I wanted to see what I could do for debuffing in the system because I love Mythcraft because you can build a very effective debuffer.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've talked offline, talked other places, you know, debuffing is an area that is super powerful, but is super limited in some other systems to either very niche spells or very high level spells.
Yeah.
Where I didn't necessarily want that. But I ended up I'm in 3 different spellcasting tracks. I have 4 types of magic.
I know how that feels.
Well, I will have all 5 in another 2 levels.
I'm fairly certain the character I'm thinking about will also end up with all 5.
Okay. But yeah, so let's go over now that we've talked about what drew us to like playing an Urkou. Let's go ahead and go over the Urkou traits. So the general height of an Urkou is somewhere between 6'6" and 7'2". The weight is 260 to 400 pounds. The size is medium. The base speed is 20 feet. The appearance of an Urkou, like Urkou are these hulking bipedal bear folk. They've got like shaggy furry coats, usually brown or black, but occasionally might be like white or like a golden coat. If I remember right, Usuri's a brown bear, right?
Uh, Relatively. I have him. I have him slated as kind of a grayish brown,
Okay.
with like red streaks.
Okay. And then Goron is a brown bear, and so is Melisag. But as we've seen, go ahead.
I was going to say, in relation to an actual bear, um, he would be a Russian grizzly bear
Right.
for obvious reasons.
Right. Right. It's like the next thing we're gonna get into is the lifespan of an Urkou, which I find extremely interesting. Because an Urkou will reach maturity around 14 years old. A male Urkou will live on average between 50 and 60 years, while a female Urkou normally lives between like 120 to 160.
It's just human males, IRL. Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
lifespan of a man is a lot less because we tend to do stupider things.
yeah, but it's not normally half,
Fair.
right? It's not normally half. Which, you know, I've pulled on some heartstrings already
Mm.
in the podcast with that.
Mm.
Melizog himself, when I wrote his backstory, all of the remaining family members that he have are all males. Due to redacted. Not going to get into that here, but due to fun reasons.
Fun.
Yeah. And like so with Goron, I made tree mount female led because they would live to be older. They would live to be wiser. They would have seen more of the world by the time they started getting older. And then I have a Okaboran that just passes on knowledge there as well. But so like I find it funny the lifespan and like what could be brought up with that, right? Like there's something there. There's stories to be told there.
Yeah. Well, and it definitely, like, my immediate thought too is, well, two things really. It's you're going to see a lot more matriarchies,
Mm-hmm.
and then like romance sounds like a nightmare. I mean, realistically, how many partners would a female Urkou have throughout her lifespan versus a male Urkou? If any, right? Or as
you want me to do
expected, or
you want me to do the math?
I mean, you could say debatably one, but you could also say anywhere
Three.
from one to three.
Yeah.
But and at the same time, it's just a societal thing of what's expected. That I think that ends up going per world kind of thing.
Right,
But yeah,
but
I mean, like realistically, are you going to have one partner in your early age and then spend more than half your life, as a widow? Like that makes for some interesting themes and lores going on there.
mhm. We may return to Tremount, so I'm not going to talk about how they handle it.
Oh boy.
But yeah, most definitely. And then there is, of course, the thing that I find super sad is the fact that most like moms giving birth to a male Urkel know they're probably gonna bury their son.
I didn't put that together. Oh man. Oh man. That makes me think too hard now. Now I'm sad.
I'm just saying, like, that's right because there is a sad story there. That's right where my brain wants to run to. I know it's
Don't you
not
use that
good.
against me. Don't you use that against me.
Your mom's dead already.
Dead.
Believe what you want.
If I don't see a body, it ain't dead.
Okay.
Because you're going to use that against me at some point. Because I know you.
Yeah. So the next thing we're gonna come to is gonna be the Urkou features. So the first one that we come to, you're just gonna make me do all the talking this time, aren't you?
All right. So now we're going to go over Urkou features. So at level 1, when you choose an Urkou, once per recoup, after being hit by an attack, you can choose to reduce that damage equal to your level. I can tell you 100% this comes in clutch often. I use it a lot as
You
a
use it.
frontliner every
You
combat.
you use it once per recoup.
Yeah, every combat it gets used. And then the other
Well,
one,
no,
most
because
combats.
there was a combat that happened that you didn't get a recoup before
Well,
it.
most combats
So
that I have it available, I use it.
right,
I'm also not going to say every combat because there's been some that we didn't need it.
you steamrolled it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or happened to take a clutch potion and didn't take the damage that you wanted me to. Anyways, and then as most lineages, you get to pick a unique feature from the following list in addition to bear the pain. So some of those are the bare necessities. Good job, whoever created that pun. When you take a rest, you can find enough food for 1 day's worth of rations. If you're in an absolutely inhospitable environment like the void of space, your MC might rule that the ability doesn't work. Uh, I
Makes
could also
sense.
I could also see like if you're at a mountaintop and everything is covered in ice and snow, I could see the same application of you just don't find anything unless you're going to eat snow.
I would probably give you like a decent DC luck check for like in the middle of the desert too.
Yeah, I can see desert because you might be able to find an
Th-
animal
th-
that. So
That's why I was saying like a luck check.
yeah, yeah, I can see
Um,
that.
so the next one we're gonna come to is Bear the Pain 2. Requires Bear the Pain and character level 10. Bear the Pain becomes once per catch your breath.
Ask me what I'm going to take at level 10. Next for that, we have Urkou Claw. So you gain a special attack, costs 2 AP, and deals 1d4 sharp damage on a hit. This is considered a natural weapon, and you use your strength for the attack and damage rolls. Which one of the things that I had thought about doing for Usuri was going down the brawler track in the Berserker, and this would have come in really clutch because I do believe I would have upgraded to 1d6 damage pretty close to right off the bat, if not right off the bat.
Would have been level 5 before you could have got.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, Nathan says eat the stardust.
Yeah. And
Um,
gain interesting powers or mutations or death.
I mean, I'm not that cruel, am I?
Yes.
I'd give you a luck check. All right,
Just alt F4 a character.
so the next thing that we come to is the Urkou Claws Bear Hug, which requires you to have the Urkou Claws. Twice per recoup, when you hit a creature with your claw attack, you may also grapple it, provided that is no more than one size larger than you. I mean, it's just if you're already going to be manhandling the battlefield, it's just twice per recoup. You don't have to spend AP to grapple.
Oh man, imagine that in a calico fight. I mean, I grappled him anyways and he couldn't get out, but
I'm just saying, it's just twice per recoup.
yeah,
Boom, you're
you're
good.
grappled. Yep.
I love it, but not as much as I love the next one. But the next one is yours.
Speaking of the next one, in addition to where you have Urkou Claw's Bear Hug, this one is Knockdown. So twice per recoup, when you hit a creature with your claw attack, you may also knock that creature prone, provided that it is not one size larger.
Now, to
I
be
like that one
complete,
better.
I said I like knockdown better.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Now, there's nothing saying that you cannot use knockdown and bear hug on the same attack.
Yep. So
You're
that
using a
could be,
lot of resources,
yeah,
but
yeah. You could do it twice, but you could make him prone and then pin him in a grapple. And well, we've seen what that looks like. Not in this particular instance, but we've seen what pinning or what grappling and prone looks like. It's devastating to an MC.
yeah, especially when half your party is melee. So the next one that we come to is Urkou Claw's Powerful Blows. And obviously we still need to have Urkou Claws, just like everything we've kind of been talking about so far. It is a repeatable talent, which means you can take it more than once. And each time that you take this feature, you increase your claw damage die by one size from a d4 to a d6, then from a d6 to a d8, etc., to a maximum of 1d12.
Also
Which,
toyed with the idea of making that happen.
right.
But then I found what I did on Usuri and I like it better. I got a D12 a lot earlier.
Yeah, you got a d12 at level 1.
Level 2, I couldn't use it effectively until, or as effective until level 2.
You still had it.
Yeah, I still had it. All right, so now that we've moved out of the Urkou Claw with prerequisites, We move on to Endless Patience, another repeatable skill. This one you gain plus 6 skill points that you can spend on anything with the crafting tag. I think Goron used this, didn't he?
Not yet.
Okay.
I don't think he has it yet. But it is planned because he wants to get
Yeah, he must have
that
Brewer's
brewing
Cast going.
that brewing skill up as high as he can. So the next one that we have is hulking form, and that what it does is you count as one size larger for the purposes of grappling, squeezing, and other features that rely on size. Your physical size itself does not increase, and you do not take up any more squares on the grid. But mechanically, it is. We'll get into builds later. We'll get into combos and how things work in a little bit.
Yep. And Usuri actually took hulking form at level 5. That was
Okay.
his lineage bonus that he took. For reasons of, um, I tend to grapple a lot and hold things in an actual bear hug, not the skill, but in an actual bear hug while the rest of the party takes care of whatever I'm grappling.
Okay. And it's just you could do it to bigger creatures. If you grapple a medium creature, normally if you are a medium creature and you're grappling a medium creature, they can still move half their speed. You just choose whether you come with them or not. So like, er, no,
Yeah.
large. I was thinking large.
If you're both the same size, you can both move up to half your movement speed, and the other, I believe, the other goes with.
I
If you're
don't think
if you're one size larger, I believe they're the person who's being grappled is reduced to 0 movement speed, and you can move up to half your movement speed with them. And they don't believe they get an option to break free.
I mean, they can break free, but not with the movement.
Well, correct. They don't get to choose to not go. They have to use actions um, or AP to try and break from the grapple.
Okay. If you are the same size, the grappled creature's speed becomes 0, and the grappling creature's speed is halved.
Okay.
If it's two or more sizes smaller, then the grappling creature speed is unaffected. If it's one or two sizes larger than the creature grappling it, then the grappled creature speed becomes half, and the person that is grappling becomes 0. If the grappled creature is three or more sizes larger, the grappled creature's speed is unaffected, and the grappling creature's speed becomes 0.
Okay.
There is never a time when it's 15 and 15, like 10 and 10, right?
Okay.
It's always either 0 and 10 or 0 and 20.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Or 0 in full,
Yeah,
or 0 in half.
yeah. I was just using the math that we normally use for base movement speed.
Yeah. All right. And then after hulking form, we have Motherland's Discipline. And boy, do I use the heck out of this. This was my level 1 uh, talent that I took. And twice per recoup, when you miss with an attack roll, you can add your bonus to your attack equal to the number of allied creatures you have within 20 feet of you to a maximum of +5, possibly turning a miss into a hit. And I cannot tell you how many times that has turned a miss to exactly what I needed to hit.
You all also like to have quite a few friendlies when you go into the fight. So you end up getting a large number of creatures within 20 feet of you. You've hit that maximum of 5 and still had creatures there. Okay.
Yep.
The next one that we have is Motherland's Discipline 2, which requires Motherland's Discipline, obviously. And it's just that your Motherland's Discipline ability becomes twice per catch your breath. Strong.
Yep, it's really good because that more or less allows you to have it twice pretty much per combat.
Yeah.
I mean, with the caveat is if you literally went from one fight immediately to another with no time in between.
Right. Which, I mean,
So,
there are situations where you run into things like that, but it's rare. It's thematically, you'll have to make that choice not to catch your breath after a fight,
yeah,
right? But it is so rare for that to actually happen, right?
agreed.
The next thing that we have is Motherland's Disciple Save Face. Again, prerequisite of Motherland's Disciple. Whenever you use your Motherland's Disciple feature, you can benefit from allies that are within 40 feet of you instead of just 20. And that would get kind of crazy.
Yep. Yeah, I thought about taking both of these when you Siri hit level 5, taking either per catch your breath or taking save face. But then I really thought about the number of times that it would make a difference at 40 feet versus 20. And I thought better of taking that one or not taking that one rather, because usually we have a lot of tight knit, close quarter allies.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and a lot of, even with Goron and Lesh being mid to backline casters, they do a really good job of being conscious about where different kinds of bubbles and radiuses and things like these go, so they're more inclined to be at that 20-foot mark just to make sure that I can pop that in a
Yeah.
moment's notice. So,
There's been more than one time that they have double measured just to make sure they're within 20 feet of you.
yep.
Now, that has backfired on you all getting so close, but it happens.
It does. But we came out on of that fight on top.
So the next one that we come to is Outlander. It's another repeatable talent. You gain +6 skill points that you can spend on any skills with a survival tag. You cannot spend more than 4 points on a single skill on this way.
It's interesting that Outlander specifies that with survival tags versus Endless Patient not doing it for crafting. I get there's a little more practicality to survival tags, so you don't want to make it too
So
OP too fast.
there's a large difference between Endless Patience and Outlander. Outlander, you get to choose as many skills to spread it out as much as you want. Endless Patience, you're +6 to one skill.
Oh, you are correct. I see what you say. Yeah, I didn't catch that it was just one skill with the
Yeah.
crafting tag. I see. I see. Hence the reason that's got the +4 points on a single skill. That
Yep.
makes more sense.
Sorry. As
No, 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 no.
I've
You're right.
it is relatively well consistent across things that if it doesn't have that overlayer, it's because it is very specific
Yeah,
skills and a very specific bonus to those skills. So like this one is just crafting tags. That's it. You get one.
right. Makes
Where
sense.
this one, it's any survival skill up to 4. Up to 4 points in any survival
Yeah.
skill.
So the next skill we have is twice per recoup. When an allied creature within 5 feet of you takes damage, you may take the damage instead. And if the creature is one or more sizes smaller than you can reduce that damage by 1d6. And I love the name of this because it's called Parental Instinct. And for thematic reasons, this is probably going to end up being a talent that Usuri picks up at some point.
With hulking form, you're now considered large for parental instinct because it says all um, things that are based on size.
Yeah, and you are considered one size larger
Yep.
for the purposes.
So that's a really nice combo they got baked in
Yep.
there. Now, are there other ways to increase your size some more? Yeah. So you could really start spreading things out if you wanted to go down that route. But that's definitely the best way to do it.
Yep. And then the next one after that is Parental Instinct Sacrificial Protector. Um, Parental Instinct being the prerequisite. And what it does is allow you to use Parental Instinct twice per catch a breath, which again pretty much means that you're getting it every combat, which is really nice.
Yeah, it definitely is nice. Even if it's, again, at any time it moves to catch your breath, I always feel like this is saying now you can do it every combat.
Yep.
Now, you want to be a little bit careful with that, but still.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to use them right off the beginning, but
Or you could.
situationally, yeah, or you could.
All right, so the next one that we have is Powerful Build. And what it means is that you can now carry 3 additional weapons and a total of 3 items with the unwieldy tag, which is nuts.
I believe Trollkin also have this, don't they?
Um, I don't know. I know I did. I know I did Trollkin with Dan, but I don't remember them having something for this. So they might.
Yeah, but that ability alone to have big unwieldy weapons is quite nice.
So they do not.
Oh, okay.
Did I just go there and look at it real quick? Yes.
Absolutely, you did.
But
So, so after powerful build, we have thick coat, which is gain resist cold 3, and when you make endurance checks to mitigate the effect of extreme cold, you can roll 2d20 and use whichever is higher. Which is the half end of that is, or the end half of that is situational, depending on your campaign and setting and all that. But gaining resist cold 3, I
is
like.
huge.
Yeah.
Anytime you can take a lineage feature to gain resist, it's just powerful, right?
Yep. I
There's
agree.
so many powerful things in Urkou that it's kind of scary. Yeah. So the last talent that we have before we start talking about a couple specific builds and what we may or may not take in what order is Tireless. And that is you gain 6 skill points. It's repeatable. You get 6 skill points that you can spend on any skills with the athleticism tag. You cannot spend more than 4 points on a single skill this way. And again, it's skill points. We love skill points,
Yep.
right? Being able to mechanically say, I'm good at this, and your sheet just says, you're better than a normal person at this. It's hard to downplay how strong skill points are. It's also sometimes really hard to upplay how strong skill points are
Yep. I
until you
agree.
play. But once you play, it's like, oh, that's a lot.
Yeah. I agree.
So I am gonna move us into the builds. I know today might run a little bit longer than normal because we have the other thing we're doing. I'm actually gonna start off with actually question. Do you want to do Yusuri first or last?
I just use Siri first.
Okay.
So it's interesting with you, Siri, and I've talked about this before.
Mm,
Um, I I don't really have a direction for you, Siri. Let me rephrase that. I didn't start off with a good direction for you, Siri. I knew the path I wanted to put my toe on, but I
mm,
couldn't. Like, I did not have a level 20 build. I didn't have a level 30 build. I didn't have a level 5 build, to be completely honest with you. Um, when I started off with you, Siri, I wanted to go into Berserker
mm.
just because, well, Berserker. I wanted to make a character that had a big weapon that bonked good. And so
Right.
that's what I made. At level one, you do your normal level one stuff. Level two, I jumped into um, Berserker. And then I tiptoed a little bit further into Berserker, going down the
Exile.
thank you, the Exile track. But I did that for a thematic reason
Mm,
because going any further than that, I didn't have a love for. Nothing beyond there really screamed out to me. Um, and so I kind of just teetered on where to go from there. I believe at level right about when we were hitting level 4 is when Voten dropped. Um,
and
and
we're not
when
going to talk about that content yet.
okay, when Voten dropped, there was a particular subclass that I found for the warrior that I looked at and immediately went, "That's what I want. That's where I want to take this character because it takes a what I have is a berserker with a big weapon that go bonk and make bonk better."
Yep.
And so at level 4, I took the warrior entry,
Yep.
and from there I've gone into this particular subclass, and I will probably continue going through that. It helps thematically, and again makes big weapon go bunk.
Right. And like I have said before, we just don't want to talk about things that are not published fully.
Right.
At least not here. Right. That's the reason I was like, we gonna stop there. What lineage features are you really drawn toward for Yusuri going forward?
So like I talked about, having hulking form already and going with parental instinct,
Mm-hmm.
both makes sense thematically for his character. Um, I mean, especially now, like really now, makes a lot of sense for him. I'm definitely going to end up with parental instinct at some point. From here, though, whether I go with bear the pain 2 once we hit level 10,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe looking at Motherland's Discipline 2 at level 10, being able to make sure I can hit a little bit better more often. Um, so one of those three are very much what I'm looking at. It just depends on what order they come in. That is to be determined.
Mm-hmm. So, probably surprising everyone, my Urkou Melizog Shava actually at level 1 went Endless Patience, Arcana. At level 5 went Outlander for a couple survival skills. And I'm probably going to go back to Endless Patience, Arcana, and then maybe go back into Outlander maybe depending on how things go, I may end up taking. See, like my issue is that a lot of Urkou features want you close,
Yeah,
and Milazog Shava wants to be 40 feet from you. Right. I want to be
fair.
40. I want to be 40 feet from the action. I will blind you. I will demoralize you. I will give you the shaking condition. I I do not want to be up there next to you. So I may end up, depending on how things go, I may end up taking bare necessities at 10 or bear the pain 2 at 10. But yeah, I'm probably going to bounce back and forth between endless patience and Outlander.
Makes
Maybe
sense.
grabbing Tireless later on for some like forced march stuff. But again, that'll all come to be. And this is only to bring us into what Goron did and what Goron plans on doing. So at level 10, Goron plans to take Bear the Pain too. We talked about how good getting things back on a catch your breath is. Right. It's just strong.
Yep.
Or am I thinking of the wrong one? No. Catching your breath. Right. It's just strong. And after that, he said he's probably looking at Endless Patience Brewing, which we had kind of made mention of earlier, and then Outlander back and forth until he gets his skills where he wants them.
Not that he needs more skills. I mean, everyone needs more skills, but when you can roll a nat 1 and it still be above a 20.
It's not above a 20 on a nat 1. He's only got a plus 17 to it right now.
Oh, was that Veraxis that did that?
It was Veraxis that had the maxed out skill. Yeah. All right. So for the people who have been awesome and are returning, you all will notice the stream looks a little bit different today. And the reason for that is because Quasi Real Publishing, the people who made Mythcraft, are having a new backer kit campaign for Mythcraft Enhanced, which for the most part is just a lot of fun things. It is a reprinting of the books. It is lots of new merch. It is a bunch of magazines that are like contained adventures, which I love that thought. I love that idea.
Yeah.
And the thing that I have probably seen and what may actually be the like most requested thing I've ever like taken notice of in the Discord and what a lot of people ask about and what I upgraded my Roll20 subscription for so that I could have custom character sheets. So they are looking to do VTT support. And we say looking to do, they've hit their numbers already.
Yeah.
So
it's not looking to do, they're doing it.
Yeah, at this point, they're doing it. I should have the link in the description of the video. If I don't, it will be the pinned comment in a few if you're watching this in the future. So to kind of celebrate that a little bit, we were given this demographic, which I absolutely adore. And for the most part, it is showing us everything that we need. Who made that? I just messed up things with the stream. Give me just a moment. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't do that again. Nope. Okay. So it is giving us everything that we need to have for combat, right? It has, and even some non-combat things, because like it has this like skill section up here, and the attributes listed down. It even gives like this wonderful explanation about like how AP and rolling over
Hey, there's a table there. Or your
it.
water bottle. Can't
It was
tell
one.
which one was.
I okay. So my mic has the little rings here, and
Oh,
I
ow.
yeah, yeah. I caught my finger like
Ow.
this and bent it. Whew.
Ooh.
Yeah,
So what Corey's saying is, so by the title of the page, it is the basic fundamentals of what you need for typical combats, and it's nice and compact into one page. You can print this out, and it's extremely nice and convenient. Will fit in binders if you have live table campaigns and stuff like that. So it's really nice, really convenient. The art is amazing. The layout is fantastic. You couldn't. I don't think I could ask for a better one page setup for this game.
yeah. It is. It is absolutely amazing, and I love the fact that we get to talk about it a little bit. Um, so like it even has like what happens with a critical hit and explains your defenses and if it has any like tied attribute to it. Like I said, it tells you where how to roll your initiative. That did not do what I wanted it to do.
It might be worth replacing one of us if possible.
Uh,
I don't know if that's something that's feasible to do at this junction, though.
uh, I could do something. Had I thought about this before, I would have had it set for a transition. Uh, but not the greatest one. Sorry, all of you wonderful viewers. So like, it talks about like roll 1d20, add a weapon attribute, the add the weapon attribute, meet or beat the defensive score, you deal damage equal to the dice plus the attribute, and then gives you an example. It even goes on to explain what to do with a critical hit, which is max damage plus damage dice plus your luck score.
Which I always forget to add. Every time I forget that you add your luck to it.
Yeah, you know, it has a nice like example of a turn and why things are the way they are. Right. It Dungle has a coordination score of 4, so he starts every turn with 5 AP, 3 for the base AP, and plus 1 for every 2 points he has in core. He can make 2 attacks with his dagger for 2 AP, and 1 reactive AP for his total of 5. Or, you know, there's just so much.
Yeah, there's a ton that is compact into this page. And then you could print this on cardstock and keep it forever, and you have exactly what you need.
You know, I do like they even gave us um like little gambits under the attributes, like with strength having lift, bend, crush, dexterity, dodge, maneuver, balance, endurance, hike, withstand, train, awareness, observe, detect, sense. Intellect. Wait a minute.
Ooh,
Oh, wait a
interesting.
minute. I'm
Interesting
about
indeed.
to.
So, for those who don't know what we're talking about here, is since the beginning, in the proper int stat has been intellect for Mythcraft, and so this says intelligence, which is interesting because it should say intellect. But also moving on to what it goes into is the different defenses. Um, so you can see what your armor rating is. So everybody's armor rating starts at 10. And then depending on what you're wearing, maybe some skills for different clash tracks that you go down may allow for differences in your AR. But everybody pretty much starts at 10, and then what you're wearing, or like I said, class tracks will go up from there. Your reflexes also start at 10, uh, and then you add whatever your dexterity modifier is. Fortitude is your endurance, or is based on your endurance. It's 10 plus your endurance. Anticipation is 10 plus your awareness. Logic is 10 plus your intellect, and then willpower is 10 plus your charisma. Um, so you will see a lot of these defenses will shift and move per certain character styles. Kind of like if you've ever seen in a game, you have like the little balance web that's at the bottom that tells you this character is strong, but it's not super fast, or this character is really fast but not super strong. That's kind of what you're going to see when it comes to these defenses. It play around your character archetypes or classes, stuff like that. And it's also good to note because there are rules that specify these things. Um, you have physical defenses and mental defenses as well. Where your physical defenses are your reflex and your fortitude, your defenses are anticipation, logic, and willpower. So there's a couple different instances that I've even seen where it specifies, hey, you took this, you gain a +1 to your mental defenses. So you only get that +1 in anticipation, logic, and willpower. Although I say only in those, that's still fantastic. Um, so that's one thing to keep in mind too. Another thing that we see on the page, um, it talks about how you can gain your AP if you use your AP, what you hold over. Um, so like Corey was saying earlier, everybody gains 3 AP, and then depending on per 2 of your logic, or sorry, per 2 of your coordination, you go up a point from there. If you are to hold any AP over, let's say you use 3 out of your 5 AP that you have, for example, you hold those 2 AP over. Those 2 AP can be used reactively if you have the ability for anything, like if you have exploit or some maneuvers that the pugilist gets, stuff like that. You turn the AP that you didn't use on your turn into reactive AP, and then if you don't use any of the reactive AP, then you get that bonus at the start of your next turn. So, like the example, if you use 3, hold 2, if you don't use O2 reactively, now you start your next turn with 7, which makes for some pretty good. All right, I gotta wait a turn, but my next turn is going to be powerful because I think we've gotten somebody to start with 12 AP on their turn, and they absolutely wrecked house and wreaked havoc with
Now,
that 12 AP.
there was some shenanigans to get to that
There was.
12 AP. There was a potion of haste involved, and there was hasten involved. And I think there was circle of haste involved. there was there was a lot that was
No,
involved.
it was just hasten.
Was it just hasten? I
It
thought
was
you.
just hasten because we didn't have potions going into that fight, and she doesn't have access to circle of haste or hasten. Just patted him on the shoulder. Now he carried AP over. I think he carried the full amount of AP that he could over, on top of what he gained, on top of um, the bonus AP he gained for hasten. But it was the only bonus he had was hasten because that's all she has access to. Um, let's see. So it also gives an example of like a weapon that you could use, being the dagger down there at the very bottom. Tells you that it costs 2 AP. Um, it it gives you an example. The dagger's attribute is Dex. So what you would get when you attack with it is you would spend 2 AP, you roll a 1d20, and then you add your Dex modifier. If you were to beat the defensive score, um, or meet it, like let's say whatever you're attacking, their ace AR is 12. If you roll a 12 or higher, uh, you connect with the dagger. You would roll 1d4 per the weapon spec, and then add your Dex modifier to that as well.
Yeah, and like I said, it and this is just one example of one weapon. There are so many weapons in Mythcraft, and we've seen lots of them on our show, lots of them other places. Obviously, like I've talked about the Legends of Mythcraft podcast. We talk about our podcast. You know, there's so many weapons and so many things that you could do that it's just wonderful.
Yep.
Um, uh, Eventually, we will a probably a combination of videos of what weapons we like and how we would build to use them in the future. That is after we get through lineages and after we get through backgrounds, occupations, professions. Those are going to be the things we focus on over the next couple months. Because after that, we'll probably start looking into doing possible builds and fully going into like classes and stuff like that. And I think the fun way to do classes will be to demonstrate a build and talk about what we would do with a single class track per video. Though I guess we could talk about that offline. But yeah, so like I said, link should be in the video description to go to the backer kit and find go ahead and support them. They are amazingly priced.
Oh yeah,
There's
absolutely.
so much is going on. The the book is all of the erratas from the past, call it 2 years of playtesting and the game being out for little over a year now. And then all the playtesting and all of that is going to be into the new core rulebook. So pick that up. You got the chance. But like I said, the I meant to check that while we were talking, but I'll check it later. Yeah, check out their. It's not a Kickstarter. Technically, I guess
Backer kit.
it's a backer kit campaign.
Yeah, check it out on Backer Kit. The savings are immaculate.
Mm-hmm.
There's all sorts of different bundles you can go into. They've also so one of the cool things is they're always in their Discord. Um, they listen, and by that I means one of the things that we've talked about as people is wanting like a custom bundle, right? Because a lot of us have some of this stuff already. It's an enhanced version, or we don't need this, we don't need that. And so what they did was they allowed for a completely custom bundle. It's $5 to go into it, and then you add on whatever you want. You can pick, choose, part everything together, and go from there. And then one of the things they didn't have at the beginning was a book only. So if it was just people want the new core book, that wasn't necessarily an option. And within 24 hours, they heard people ask about it. They heard people ask about it, and they did it.
Yeah,
They're like, yeah, you know what? Here you go. Here's a book only option. So they have a book only bundle. So I mean, it just the way that they go about this game, the way that they go about writing it, they're they're just super great people. They're making this game not only for them because they love TTRPGs, but they're making it for us because we also love TTRPGs. And by
absolutely.
us, I mean everyone. So
Absolutely.
I
And
could
I
not.
mean, it's a fun place to hang out too,
Oh
in
yeah,
Discord.
absolutely. I mean, they do
Um,
movie nights all the time, so
uh,
it's a great place to hang out and and just come say hi and go from there.
yeah, no. But yeah, this one's actually been over an hour. It's been a while since we've had an episode that went over an hour. But I do think that that is everything that we're gonna have for today. If you want to see how Urkals work in our game, go ahead and check out our actual play podcast, Tales of Yvard, pretty much anywhere that you can find podcast, and it is Y apostrophe VARD. And if there are any topics that you would like us to cover in the future, or is there anything that you have any questions on you'd like us to answer, go ahead and place them down in the comments below. Bye.
Have a good one.